Live. Hi. Welcome to Friday Reds. We're about to begin. We got about 5 more minutes. Hopefully, people will join in. For those that haven't been watching our show, you can rewind this later on when it's done. But it's both Instagram Live on camera 1 with Tongues of Fire, Acts of the Apostles, chapter 2, Tongues of Fire. On that camera right here, on this camera, I'll touch the eyepiece right there. And then on this camera here is Instagram again, with a lot of hearts on the screen. And then Facebook Live right here. Facebook Live right here. Facebook Live. That's Ophir. And then, of course, Facebook Live here with Stanislaus, Chief Stanislaus. Facebook Live, Ophir, Breeze, Camaro. And here is E.CELI. And here is Malloy. This camera, Tongues of Fire, the Book of Acts, chapter of the Apostles. It falls on May 28th, 2023, the 50th day after resurrection, after Easter, 50th day. It's called the Acts of the Apostles, chapter 2, Pentecostals. But yeah, it's tongues like of fire, or tongues of like fire. All right, and it's Mayflower, May month, and Mayflower, May month. We have about 4 more minutes to go to begin our Friday Reds. Friday Reds every Friday. Hey, hi there, Tibus Milan. Yeah, this is we do this every Fridays. We have our past shows on our YouTube channel. You just click on our you just look for our YouTube channel, and it's on 2KEA_L_Stan. That's our YouTube channel, and then you look for the playlist of the past Friday Red show. So what we do is we begin by entering the east gate of the Garden of Eden. To enter the east gate of the Garden of Eden, we do what we call the first in, last out prayers. All right, so the first in, we're gonna do the basic prayer that we were according to Matthew chapter 6. It's a prayer to enter the Garden of Eden, or the circle, okay, the east gate of the circle. There was only one entrance and only one exit. So you do what you call first in, last out. You go in with a abracadabra type spiritual prayer, and then we also, our second is also the national anthem 2.0, which the lyrics of the preamble of the U.S. Constitution U.S. We say it, or we sing it first before the we sing it first before the show, right? So the beauty of the national anthem 2.0, which by the way, remind you that July 5th is Dan Valiran's birthday, and I met him here in Stanislaus County. He's other guitar players here, locally musicians, songwriters. I encourage people to start, when you enter the east gate of the Garden of Eden, again, this is virtual information. You say the basic prayer, the Lord's Prayer, based on Matthew chapter 6, the Our Father, and then we say the new version of the Star Spangled Preamble. That's what I call it, Star Spangled Preamble, which incorporates We the People. And then when we finish with our talk inside the garden, whatever soil we dig or whatever plants whatever our tongues of like fire comes out, and then we exit out of the Garden of Eden by doing the Philo. So we say we sing the national anthem 2.0 Star Spangled Preamble, and then we can say another prayer, or we can still sing Matthew chapter 6, the Lord's Prayer. All right, so 8 o'clock, we begin with our show with the entrance song to the entrance gate, East Gate. Copyrighted 2023 E.CELI, all rights reserved. I don't give any consent to anybody using my Friday Reds clips, unless we obtain some donations and benefits. But I don't consent to anybody using any of my images online, my photographs, nothing. Okay, so that's just to warn the artificial intelligence AI community and all the other people that are cloning and hacking accounts. So here we go. Our Father, who art in heaven, holy is thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive those who trespass against us, Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For the kingdom and the power and the glory are yours now forever. We the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. Do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fights for the ramparts we watch was so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave. Yeah, we have now entered the Garden of Eden, and we are going to talk about what is good and then our observation, what we observed and what we reported in the past and the present and future. So in the past, we've always pushed for people of color's ability to vote. In 1870, after the Civil War, black men could vote based on the 15th Amendment. And that voting right makes us decide who the next president is. And since then, 1870, we've been participating in all forms of government. So it's important for us to know the constitutionus.com. Okay, constitutionus.com. That's all one word. Constitution US. Period. COM. There you will find the 27 amendments. And I mentioned 1870 as an important date for people of color, the ability to vote. But prior to the 15th Amendment, there was the 14th and 13th Amendment, and those were spearheaded by Abraham Lincoln. And Abraham Lincoln wrote the Emancipation Proclamation, and it was to make sure that the Union maintains unity with all the different United States, because divided we fall, united we stand. But we fell in the Civil War from 1862, 63, 64. It was terrible. 600,000 Americans, brothers against brothers, brothers against family members. It was a total violation of God's law. The law of, the first commandment is love God with all your heart and all your mind. And then the second commandment, is love their neighbor as yourself. That's, in the book of Deuteronomy. But in the New Testament, John 13, verse 33 to 35, love one another as I have loved you. That was from Yahushua Jesus. And he gave that, and John wrote that. The most loved disciple was John. Well, he taught about God's love. And so brotherly love, loving Jesus the way he loved us. And then there's a verse, 1 John chapter 4, 20 and 21. To anyone, a red, white, and blue brother, a U.S. citizen or a resident of the United States, how can you claim to love God and the government if you can't even love your own U.S. citizen brother? That's what the verse says. How can you claim to love God if you can't love your own brother? So how can you claim to love God and the U.S. government if you can't even love your own U.S. citizen, U.S. citizen like you, U.S. resident? So there was Civil War. People were killing each other, cousins, siblings. Because one lives in the north and one lives in the south. And like I said, the businessmen didn't want to lose their business ethics in the south and the business ethics of the north. And of course, people at the north are saying your business ethics, you're treating humans with dark skin different. They're all red-blooded brothers and sisters. Labor is labor, but if you force labor, slavery, slave labor, it took until the 1960s, okay? Civil rights and labor rights. Civil rights was spearheaded by Malcolm X, and then eventually, and simultaneously, Dr. Martin Luther King. But late 50s, all those issues with eugenics in the 50s, they're trying to sterilize all the people of color. They deported black Mexicans, black Filipinos. The Zoot Suit War. It was just eugenics. It was just a hate crime. But the 40s, that's how it happened. 50s, that's how it happened. That's how it was. And so whatever books written in the past shouldn't be modified, shouldn't be thrown away. It should be accepted that in that decade, 1940s and 1950s, those decades prior to 1960s, that there were a lot of bad disobedience against the laws of God, laws of what is in the scripture, what is in the Bible. So until 1970s, 73, it got better. I mean, at least in the areas that I lived in, mostly in California, uh, Santa Clara County, the Silicon Valley. The first microprocessor chip was created in that time frame, 1973. The American Graffiti movie came out. There was only one Chicano in that movie, and also hip hop began. People were, you know, turntables and MCing. So 73 to me, American Graffiti, the liberty to drive your automobile and enjoy and show the world you got a nice beautiful ride, and that was the social media then, cruising. So that's the past. And then there was a lot of good reference point in 1973, but 1963, that's when John F. Kennedy was killed. It was sad. The first Catholic president, he was assassinated. And if you go back to 1865, April, they assassinated Lincoln, Abe Lincoln. But the coincidence was both presidents, Abe Lincoln and John F. Kennedy, the president that took over were Johnsons, right? Andrew Johnson took over when Abe Lincoln was assassinated, and then Lyndon Johnson took over when the first Catholic president, John F. Kennedy, was assassinated. But the battle of human rights and the established amendments, 13th, 14th, 15th amendments of the U.S. Constitution U.S., it was still an issue then until 1960s, until 1973. But then there were still issues that during COVID, you had George Floyd getting basically lynched. And we watched a movie called Emmett Till, the storied biography of Emmett Till, a black kid, black teenager from Chicago, going to the South to visit his relatives there. He so happened to have, seen a beautiful, gorgeous white woman, and he just wanted to compliment her because she looked beautiful. But apparently in the South, that was a no-no. And still, why is it an honor to compliment a beautiful flower, a beautiful lady? But apparently, that was a no-no for a colored person to do that. And they lynched him. They beat the crap out of him. And many stories and incidents in the past have what do you call it? But today, we're hoping, repentance, repentant, Lent season passed, and we want, people to repent, even the descendants of those Confederate flag people, to repent. And many have repented, but still there are those that still are stubborn and really don't believe in God. They really disobey, the laws of Yahuwah, God the Father, Commandment 1 and 2 by Moses. Love God with all your heart. How can you love God with all your heart if you can't love your neighbor, right? So, again, same with Jesus' disciples. John 13, 33 to 35. Look it up. Love one another as I've loved you. And then 1 John 4, verse 20 and 21. How can you claim to love God if you can't love your own U.S. citizen brother? And so about the movie Till, Emmett Till, at the end of the credits, it just said that in 2022 they abolished lynching. Can you believe that? But anyways, my childhood in the Silicon Valley in '73, I became a professor, Professor Benjamin Washington. You know, I did a lot of research. Elementary, I went to above elementary, and I was privileged. Well, American kids in elementary schools were privileged to have a library within the elementary school, and we had a multi-purpose room, and it was also a library adjacent to it that we who had access to all the books that we wanted to read. I mean, that's how I first read Mark Twain and other books like Harriet Tubman and Thomas Edison. You know, a lot of the inventors, and by sixth grade, our sixth grade teacher, Mike, he made us study all the inventors of the United States. Inventors of, they created jobs. From Thomas Edison to Henry Ford to all the different inventions that made USA great. That's what makes the United States, is its inventors, people that make new products, write new songs, create a new industry. When at present time, here present. Well, let's talk about present now. Present time here in the United States, in Stanislaus County, where I'm at, our Professor Benjamin Washington has been observing these kids. They have the bands. I had a band when I was a kid, and I've seen these kids trying to learn how to promote their show, and then trying to recruit a local police department, Modesto Police Department, to help, be at present to deter anything bad, And the event I heard was to to abolish fentanyl, the drug that's been floating around. Whoever these drug dealers or whatever that are pushing it in our communities, especially here in Stanislaus County, Modesto, California. But the kid that was running the event, he got rejected by the police department, and then they harassed the venue. But the venue is promoting gathering a community. It's not the venue, but the kids at the venue are promoting a better a service to the youth, or the at least the young adults, and it didn't go right. So I made a suggestion to seek a good lawyer, a local lawyer that has experience in bands and trying to promote their music at a venue. But it's sad. I also made a suggestion: next time, recruit event security guards, security officers. Guess the police department have this mentality that they shouldn't be the ones to, but their presence should be there. Police department should be there to deter any kind of bad elements. The same thing with anything. But that's why the youth today, or the kids, they don't trust the police department. They're asking for assistance and help, but what do they get? Rejection. So that's not right. I mean, at least that's what my observation. I have only seen this post in Instagram, so I had to say something about it. That shouldn't be the way a police department or any officer should. They should make a suggestion to hire a security guard, and he'll interact with the security guard. You know, I mean, that's what they should say. You know, for events, most events will, you at least have two or more security officers, or have someone in the event be hired as the observer and reporter, general U.S. citizens. You observe and report, because any kind of incident that occurs, it's witnessed and observed and reported. You don't have to have a gun. You don't have to have a weapon to deter any bad people. I mean, you have a camera. That's how you deter people. That you tell them they're being taped for unlawful conducts or any kind of unlawful activities. But it would be nice if a peace officer or a person in uniform deters any kind of bad elements. So that's my concern here in the law enforcement people here locally, that they should need to get closer to the youth, the young adults, the community, the creative people, the musicians, the songwriters, they'll create new jobs. They create a trend. They create merchandise. For some reason, that merchandise becomes like a pet rock. Some kind of a product that needs to be manufactured and sold, even if the merchandise is only $5. If it becomes a demand and it's created locally in with the city of Modesto, if a product is only $5 and it's in demand, it could make a lot of money, profit that promoter event, and create more jobs. And so presently, local government involvement with the people, we the people, we have an epidemic of drug addicts. So people should, we the people and the authorities need to work together, enforce ADA, American Disability Act. Yeah, American Disability Act is supposed to help the drug addicts, the homeless, the mentally ill. That is the right. I mean, back in when it started, American Disability Act, people had to, when they build buildings and entrance, they had to update their entrance buildings, business or commercial, to have access for people with disabilities, like on a wheelchair. There has to be entrance access. American Disability Act. But it's not just that, like the blue parking lots. It's also, those mentally ill people that are going through some emotional stress, some kind of psychological issues that alone they can't solve, that they need at least some kind of a case manager or a group to help them out. I being a Catholic, we have resources in our church. There are support groups in our Catholic church. If you're needy and homeless, or what they call it, there's a St. Vincent de Paul program for the poor and the needy. Say your house just got burned, you have no materials like bed or tent. You can go to St. Vincent de Paul in the program of any Catholic church if they have it, and ask for assistance. Um, there's a lot of support groups in the Catholic Church. Whether you're a divorced Catholic, or a person that's divorced, you're having issues with your priest, having issues with your parents, you can go to the church. It doesn't have to be the priest. It's just the groups. You just go to the office of any Catholic church and ask for what other programs does the church offer aside from a confession booth and the prayer, the altar prayer? There are other services that, like I said, Saint Vincent de Paul helps the needy, the homeless, well, at least for a short period of time until you can get back on your feet, or you can find another group that'll help fit you in to your mental health or your class category. You're married, or you're single or divorced or whatever. They have youth groups, right? If you're under 18, there's the young adult, which is 18 and up, and then of course you got the minors. So at least I'm sure there are other non-Catholic churches out there that welcomes you, but unfortunately there's the gangs that cater and help all those people and are then misled. But the gang culture is not, I mean, it's an option, but it shouldn't be the one. And of course, here in Stanislaus County, Modesto, there are car clubs. If you own an automobile, find a group that specifically enjoys that type of automobile, and see if you could collaborate with people that ride the same vehicle as you. Because maintenance would be a lot cheaper if they know more of the deals within that type of an automobile. I mean, there's the Impala's car club here, but it's the what you call cars that have been already the DMV has declared them already exempt from smog. So that means they're ancient cars, old cars. But a lot of people still love to rebuild cars here, present day Stanislaus County. And I don't know if most cities now are restoring cruising. Cruising was a privilege, was a liberty for all USA citizens to perform, but only a few cities in California were banned. And that was Sacramento, which they've already lifted that ban. And then I believe Stockton, they just lifted that up. But, me politically, it should have never been banned. I mean, it's like, politically, the gun ban. The problem with guns is really the person's psychological and lack of morality and understanding of those two important commandments, right? Love God with all your heart and mind, right? So if you love God, that means you obey all His laws. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not kill. Those 10 commandments. If you love number one, commandment number one, and really practice it, then those others, you will surely obey them. Because if you truly love commandment number one, you surely will obey commandment 2 and 3. Or 1 John 4, verse 20 and 21, and John 13, verse 33 to 35. So that's the present status. And see, I do this Friday Reds because, like I said, my responsibility with my mom, my elderly mom. I've been searching around for elderly cares, all shift, day shift, swing shift, and grave shift, because most of the programs here, like PACE or Webby Help, they only do it 9 to 5, a day shift schedule, which is all right. But what if you work graveyard, like security officers? High percentage of the jobs for security officers are the grave shift or a swing shift, night shift, because a lot of the trouble happens at night. I mean, things happen at day too, but if you have an elderly parent, like me, I have an elderly mom. My dad passed away in 2008, and she was like, she's been living alone. And then I moved back here in 2014, but I've been here about 10 years now, and she's at a point, where she just can't get off her own bed. Um, we try to get her a bed that will allow her to get up. No, there's a couch that reclines. Sometimes she can get out, sometimes she can't. So it's been a 24 by 7 for me. So I'm doing this show for now, Friday Reds, and I said I won't go back to Facebook Live for a while, but that was like 2020. So now it's 2023, and so I've started to get on Facebook Live, but I've started also Instagram February, Instagram Live. So this is it. I've set up this little studio, and I have like a green background screen. I got my American flag. I got my director shirt ready to direct short films and a full feature or a TV pilot. And before I do that, though, I got to make sure I have some kind of a program for my elderly mom that I can, take swing shift, grave shift, and even day shift off. So I got a full day, night off. And I just been, having my siblings take over a week. And then, but it's a full-time job taking care of our elderly parents. So we have to look at better programs to help the senior citizens, to help the elderly. And they've been taken advantage of, the crank calls, the hackers, they create a scenario where I was victimized myself. Some guy, the telephone originated from an area code 202, which I thought was a legal entity, and then a guy was saying, "Oh, there was a package in your name from Mexico going into Texas," and I said, "That's not me. That's not me. That's not me." I keep saying, "That's not me. That's not me," but they sound legit. I mean, some of these people, they have a good American voice. Some don't. I mean, they have accent, but with AI today, our voices can be cloned. That people can pretend to be our relatives on the phone. So make sure we are talking with a video chat, because artificial intelligence, even with a video chat, who knows? They can put, how they go say, dark web, dark. Oh, we gotta fix these unnecessary evil on social media, online. Why do we have these kind of people? It's a straight out tool to communicate and improve our lives. It makes us better. Practicing 1 John 4 verse 20-21 and John 13, John 13 verse 33 to 35, and of course John 3:16. I have to explain again. Let's go back at the timeline from creation all the way to current. At creation time, at the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve, that's the creation theory. Okay, the breath of God, breath of life, breathed on soil, red soil, dirt, land of creation, right? Dirt. If you look at dirt, it's red, it's brown. So when man was formed in the image of God by the soil and breathed the life, okay, this is all in the book of Genesis. Man was named Adam, and he was brown. He was dirt. He was soil. That's the color of soil, right? And so man was a colored man, Adam. And then, of course, one of the ribs of Adam became a woman, okay? But at the time in the garden, they didn't have any gender. They just had Adam and Eve, right? They didn't have organs, sexual organs. They just were meant to live immortals, sin-free, just like angels and God, Adam and Eve. But then when Eve disobeyed and ate of the forbidden tree of knowledge, Eve, when God the Creator, God the Father Creator, you need to go out of the garden. You have disobeyed me. So because Eve was the first to disobey, he said, woman, you are going to procreate a child. You are going to bear that child for 9 months, approximately around that time frame. Eve was given a vagina and a womb after the disobedience. When they got out, there were cherubs and a sword, flaming sword, basically escorted them out of the gate, east gate, the only entrance and the only exit. So they were in the land of creation, east of the Garden of Eden. And when Adam and Eve, they covered because they covered themselves, they were told, that the woman will have to be the one that'll bear the child, because it would have been the man. If Adam would have been the first to commit the disobedience, he would have been having a womb. Men would be bearing the child for 9 months, plus or minus. But Eve, so the process of procreation, right? Because in reality, God could have repeated creating atoms with his breath of life. Could have made more men, because there's plenty of soil in the garden. But because Eve disobeyed and ate of the forbidden tree, and then enticed Adam to do the same, that's the template of every couple. Every time a couple, goes to the wedding vows, they all go through that. Couples go through that. They wind up in divorce, and in 1969, family law encouraged it. A lot of the lawyers encouraged that, because the many white male abusive men that abused their spouse, because women's rights, even though the 19th Amendment, they could vote, women's right was still an issue, and it's still an issue today until the Me Too movement, until they caught Harvey Weinstein. They put him in jail. And then, of course, the recent case of Donald Trump losing a case with an incident that happened back in the 90s with a woman named E. Jean Carroll, a journalist, a writer. the reason why Trump did not win his case, even though it was an incident that occurred in 95 or 6 or so, it was still applicable because she wrote it down, she documented it, she explained the incident that really defamed her. She wrote it down, she put it in writing. There was a document. When you read the Bible, you say John chapter 2 verse, John chapter 2, all verses, if you don't know what that is, John chapter 2, all verses is the wedding of Cana, the first miracle that Jesus displayed to the disciples, that, Mother Mary asked Jesus to, they're out of wine, the wedding party. So Jesus turned water into wine. But this lady wrote the incident report that occurred in 96, the time frame. So she had it all set up the way, a briefcase in a law, you write down line by line, the storyteller, John, the chapter, right? Because chapter 1, 2, 3, so chapter 2, and then all the story of that incident. And she did that. Now, for Trump to not recall that, it could not recall it, or maybe there's a moment flash about it that he thought it was nothing. But to women, the rights, they've been abused for a very long time, and they've been cheated for a long time, and they're still being cheated. I love women. I love them as a partner. I would never cheat them. At least it's my upbringing. My father and my grandfather, they always say that the women, they are the life creator. They create life, so you respect them, treat them nice. They can be very difficult, yes, but they were the first, to sin. That's why they have that responsibility. But their body, their menstrual period, and their PMS, they have those kind of situations. So you as a man need to understand that. But they've been used and abused, and still, the timeline, like I said, from Adam to Eve, because woman is so beautiful that also the angels, wow, they got breasts, they got a nice vagina. The angels, even though they could become like Eve, they chose to want to know more about that design. And so these fallen angels, they were supposed to just observe and watch, and were called the watchers. But for some reason, some of them could not, like Eve picking the forbidden fruit from the forbidden tree. These fallen angels did the same thing, picked a forbidden woman, an earth woman. So it's like a double disobedience from the original creation. And so the angels fell, and they interacted with man, but they were not supposed to mate with women, but they did. There were about 200 of them, 200 plus. It's in the book of Enoch. Enoch is a great grandfather of Noah. All right, so women's rights is still an issue today, because Roe versus Wade is turned over. People say they're pro-life. True, pro-life is good, but pro-life, pro-choice for pro-life is even better, right? Because it's a woman's right to to know what how because God put that wound in them, but it's a woman's right to do the pro-choice pro-life. Because if those evil Satan or evil spirits enter the womb, the child, because there are still after the flood, God told every angels not to do that, not to inbreed with earth women, right? Once in a blue moon, there is this bad spirits that will enter a woman without consent. And so when these demons enter a woman without consent, these women, they get impregnated, an unwanted impregnation, unconsented impregnation by these demons, right? So it's a product of evil. It's a product of demons. So when that child is not uh, aborted, if the evil is not aborted and it's allowed to live, it could be a future Dahmer. It could be a future Hitler. It could be a future uh, some form of demi bad guy. Because if you didn't abhor evil and you raised evil, it's gonna grow up evil, right? And if it's put on foster homes, you know, and the way the county of Sacramento today, they put all these kids in foster homes, but these foster homes or like an old or a jail cell. They house these foster kids in a jail cell, so parents can't, the people that can't control their children that have demons, they wind up in these foster homes and they become a menace to the society. So I believe in women's pro-choice for pro-life, unless it's been an unconsented intercourse, unconsented product of evil. The Bible says, abhor evil, abhor it. Don't let it, don't let it, be part of your life. You abhor evil, abhor demon. Yes, there's a lot of people that are disobedient now these days. It's a society where, sure, you have your freedom of speech, your liberties, but it's not intended to give demons and devils and evil people their liberty to shoot and kill, you know, disobey the commandments, thou shalt not kill, disobey, and hate. And so it's not a problem. It's basically restoring basic moral information in the children. They need that basic moral information. Okay, I gotta go on pretty soon. Oh my gosh. What time is it? Oh, 7 more minutes. But I'm gonna close this now. I'm gonna close the circle. I talked out too much, and I want to close the circle. We're gonna sing the preamble of the U.S. Constitution. We the people love the United States in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, to ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in the air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave? Yeah. All right, so ConstitutionUS.com. We the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. ConstitutionUS.com. And the preamble, the Star Spangled Banner is "So say can you see by the dawn's early light," right? But you already know that. But we're hoping on July 5th that everybody, every musician that I know will start to sing it that way, the way I sing the National Anthem 2.0. And to remind everyone, July 5th is a good friend Dan Valiran's birthday. All right? The DV, songwriter, local songwriter here in Modesto, California. And I just wanted to remind that, yes, July 5th is the day after Independence Day, July 4th, but July 5th is a better day when we sing the preamble added in the Star Spangled Banner. And we call it National Anthem 2.0 because inclusivity is the purpose of We the People. All right? We the People is a indigenous term. It was by the Iroquois, and we need integrated USA after a Bible reader named Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and labor rights Larry Leong, a Filipino American in Delano, California, and Cesar Chavez from Texas. All right? So labor rights was important now and then because it's your break time at a job. You have to have a break at any job, any work. You need a break in a break room. Larry Leong and the Filipinos in Delano, they didn't have restrooms when they worked at the grape fields of Delano. And that's the reason why labor rights, working wages is important. And of course, the Writers Guild of America is on strike. And so probably the Actors Guild of America will be on strike because both work for They work for the corporations like the Association of Motion Picture and Television Producers, which are like Disney and Universal Studios. The big corporations. And so employees like the writers and the actors rely on these corporations to give them a budget to make these films. All right, so the employees need working wages, good working wages, break rooms, right? It's all related to what our current status is and the future. Before I say the last prayer, closing prayer to exit out of the Garden of Eden, I'm at the door already. I'm already at East Gate because I said the national anthem. I'm already ready to go out. And a sword, a flaming sword, is observing. Maybe that's how George Lucas, again, lightsaber, flaming sword. Maybe he read Genesis. But we're at the exit of the East Gate of the Garden of Eden. And we're gonna go back and sing the Lord's Prayer. I mean, we could do Psalm 23. We can do Psalm 91. We can do Revelation 21. But we're gonna go back to Matthew 6, the Lord's Prayer, because everybody needs to at least. Our Father, who art in heaven, holy is thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive those trespass against us, and lead us not into temptation, deliver us from evil. Deliver us, O Lord, for the kingdom and the power and the glory yours now forever. Alright, so we are out of the Garden of Eden, the circle. We came in with a philo, first in, last out, and then we came out of the philo, okay, first in, last out. So we're out and we're there, and I can remove my gear. I am Professor Benjamin Washington, and removing my costume back to Stanley Jack Kowalski. Call me Stanley. I'm just in character as Professor Benjamin Washington, and this is just my costume. I remove my costume here. That's good. Thank you very much for being with us. Titus Milan. Oh, that's is that Italian? Milan. And yeah, it's hot today in Stanislaus County, and we we do this every Friday, and we end the show, and hopefully people will enjoy this. You can rewind this if you're watching it again, or what do you call it? I'm gonna upload it on our YouTube channel, to KL_Stan, and to Kea underscore to KEAL to Kea_L_Stan. We are just a writer. We've created this character, Professor Benjamin Washington, because he is a sharp guy. He grew up in the Silicon Valley. He worked for corporate America, and then he created his own research lab, opposing the labs in America. Research the corporate America. They want corporate labs in the U.S. They just want you to solve their problems, but they don't want you to solve your problems. As a Indian, we have indigenous problems, and we need to tell our story. And from a respected professor like Benjamin Washington, who does his research on libraries, and he's a character like, well, for a black guy it'd be Urkel. For a white guy it would be like Jerry Lewis's characters, the nerdy professor. Oh, but Eddie Murphy remade him. Anyways, see, what else can I do before I sign off? Maybe I covered that song. I'll do that song again that I did last Friday. The song, I have one on YouTube, on one of my YouTube channels, E.CELI TV, I believe. A song called, it has Shailene Woodley on the video. The title of the song, I did it last week, called She Will Have to Come to Me. Because it's all about consent. I mentioned Trump, and because his case, he didn't win his case, right? I mean, anybody, that we, like any of our content or information, if we didn't consent, if we created things and we didn't give any consent to anybody, then if they used it, then they're in trouble. I mean, it's not just sex, having sex with a person without consent, but Trump, I mean, it was unconsented sex, and instead of being raped, they called it something else, like force or injuring. So consent is a message again with this song. It was copyrighted in June 13th, 2003. The song, this poetry was copyrighted in 2003, June 13th. And of course, copyrighted 2023.CLI, all rights reserved. Hey, nerdy fan page. Hi, Cam. title of the song is "She Will Have to Come to Me." You know, consent is an important thing. So after Harvey Weinstein, E. Jean Carroll versus former President Trump, consent is really real. It's a woman's power. Not just women, but any creative people that create online, that a artificial intelligence, an AI, if they take your stuff without consent, if anybody uses your autograph, I mean your pictures or anything that's been created, they gotta have consent. So song title, She Will Have to Come to Me, TX-5-784-839, was created June 13th, 2003. She will have to come to me. This California girl, I know I feel so much for her, but she will have to tell how she feels for me. Even if angels scream from hell, I won't approach this on my own. Obsessed to think that woman could be mine. But the devil there is no harm, for she will choose with her free will. All alone, all alone. You'll have to come, you'll have to come to me. You'll have to come to me. You'll have to come. You'll have to come to me. Yeah, consent. You'll have to come to me. I always advise that to men like me, men, boys to men. Consent is now the number one thing. And post Harvey Weinstein and post E. Jean Carroll versus Trump. And it builds up. I believe in pro-choice for pro-life. And I believe that it is time for women to make their decisions, because since Eve to Mother Mary, woman has been healed. Woman has obtained the wisdom, book of wisdom, that woman, the God woman, is in the book of wisdom. And women need to become. We need the first USA president, a female USA president. And I'm just posing as Professor Benjamin Washington, that character, because we need to make it happen. People that obtained their voting rights in 1870, the 15th Amendment, and then women's voting rights in the 19th Amendment. Should have been at the start of the United States in 1776. All people should have been able to vote. But because we got these businessmen and the past businessmen, we gotta end that. We gotta end that type of a man. That man has to die, has to fade away. That kind of a man, that greedy man. That's what it is. A man that is greedy, who just takes. We indigenous people, we share. We welcome. But unfortunately, our kindness has been taken advantage of for so long. That 2023 and beyond, we have to start. We got to start something, and we got to empower women, especially white women that bear these greedy sons. Yes, Queen Lani. Her kingdom was stolen by these businessmen, white businessmen. And Hawaii today, well, it's being represented by a few people: Jason Momoa, Dwayne Johnson, and now this guy in American Idol. But back then, when Jasmine Trias won American Idol, that was way back. Nothing has happened much. But Bruno Mars, So Hawaiian Kingdom is good, but we need a little bit more better because American Graffiti, there was this one Chicano dude named Manuel Padilla Jr. He was totally phased out or forgotten, but and even the Cinco de Mayo fiasco that's still going on. That it's an American thing about break rooms, and better working conditions. So help the strike, the Writers Guild of America, and help the Screen Actor Guild, the performers, the Union for Performers, and I shared people working, the songwriters here locally in Modesto. I'm trying to gather all the music producers, music songwriters, and I need a dance song, a danceable song from any local songwriters. That's all I need. And then we will build a team of producers, so we can create our own Modesto, Stanislaus County AMTP, and we create a hopefully we can create a jobs, a money making manufacturing of TV show and films, local filmmakers and local TV show producers. So imagine if those productions are now only in Modesto, right? Stanislaus County. All right. This is Chief Kukunach or Chief Stanislaus. Today's local Modesto rep, and it is getting hot. Every day is hotter and hotter. So it's summertime, and as you can see, I'm brown and yellow. I'm brown and yellow. All right, but I'm as red, white, and blue as in the apple pie. But we need again to create products, sellable products, merchandisable products, based in Stanislaus County, Modesto, California. Not in Hollywood, not in LA. Songwriters, dance music made in Modesto. And it doesn't matter what genre. It could be country, it could be rock, it could be hip hop, it could be reggaeton, it could be jazz, it could be, as long as it's an original written song, original composition, written. We don't want to get sued like Ed Sheeran and Marvin Gaye, because things sound the same in certain things. Certain chords in rock music, there's a pattern that gets repeated. But the important thing is the spoken word. But the dancing, we need the dancing. Because good songwriters can make people dance. That's all I can say. If your song is not danceable, then I gotta have a DJ trying to make it dance. The idea is I have to gather. You know, I'm not a. I mean, I'm a showrunner or a person that puts together things, but it's a team effort. It requires a full team. It's not a one man show. It's not just me like this Friday Reds. All right. Again, this is Stan. I got to get going. I'm overtime. Thank you very much for staying. And thank you, Nerdy Nerdies. Nerdy Nerdy. Oh, Joseph just joined. You're going to have to rewind and play. Uh, Rewind this show. But thanks for joining in, Joseph. I started at 8 and we're in overtime. I'm already out of character as Professor Benjamin Washington, and I'm just gathering If you know any songwriters that have written dance songs, um, please have them sign a consent to use their music and send it to my P.O. Box 2562, Ceres, California 95307. First is to gather danceable music that are danceable. Like you can really do some body language. You can really do some dance. You know, that's that's what we want to have. Gather all the local musicians. It has to be a local musician. I mean, I could use the nationwide playlist music, but that will defeat the purpose of gathering local modesto, local musician, singer songwriters. The idea is to have their audios on a playlist for a dance show. It's worthwhile for me because if I can sell this dance show, I would earn a living. And then those musicians that have their tracks in the dance show will get an automatic residual. They'll get paid back if the show gets bought. That's the hard part, right? Selling a show. But if it looks good, if we make 8 episodes and it's very entertaining for the rest of the United States, it's worthwhile making an effort to gather these singer-songwriter songs and then find venues that are willing to be, uh, you know, on a controlled venue set, and the people are willing to go in there and dance to the songs on the playlist. I wish the board of directors of the Mamas would help out, you know, provide the playlist, I mean, the song list, but a percentage of them are not danceable songs on that playlist. We need danceable songs of all genre that people can just shake their booties, shake their dance, from rave to techno to, you know, rock, twist. It's all I can do at this time in Stanislaus County. Well, I gotta go. I gotta go. Thank you very much. All right. Thanks, guys.